Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Now, I've had the HAF 700 Evo for about 6 months because it was released, I think it was the 22nd of February. Now, Coolermaster have now released the kind of baby brother, cheaper version of it. Rather than it being called the HAF 700 Evo, they've just called this one the HAF 700. So it's the Coolermaster HAF 700. I believe I have to say these things quite a lot in the introductions. Now, I've tested it as I always would have done, and I'm going to give you a quick skim around it so that you can have a ganders with me and see if you could, should, or might want to save yourself a little bit of money, dodge the Evo and invest into the vanilla HAF 700 instead. So the big difference between these two beauties is essentially the front panel, and it is this large acrylic front panel. Now there is an OLED little screen in the front that you can set to do images, and you can set to do like thermals and stuff like that, but the bulk of it is going to be these very, very large acrylic chunks or sections in the front. Now the fans I got with the Evo were just black ones, but you can see on the front of the 700 they are actually RGB. I really like the little logo on the front of the vanilla HAF, as I'm going to be calling it, because it is just that little outline, but we straight away know that's Coolermaster's kind of logo. When you come up to the I/O around the outside, you can see you've still got the USB-C, the 4 USB 3s, power and reset on the other side, and headphone and microphone, and that is completely mimicked on the other big case, other than the fact that you get a little bit more brushed metal inlaid into those side panels. But beyond that, the difference in the front is just how they've added the RGB. Obviously you get the big chunks on the right, but then you get the fans on the left, and it's going to be up to which way you would prefer to go with it. I would say personally, I think the Evo would be the better case to look at without the RGB turned on, because as you can see, it's just there. I haven't got a power supply in it at the moment, but it is just sat there, and I think it looks a bit nicer in its kind of no RGB state. I'll give you a few quick highlights because the two cases are incredibly similar, and you can go and take a look on the video, which I will link you to, which was my other full review. Now the top panel does come off, and you have to take that off so that you can remove the side panels. Now this top panel on the roof is also completely removable, which is going to help you, because you can put an awful lot of water cooling in the roof. You can put two 360mm radiators in it if you wanted. You can put a 420 up the front if you wanted. And when I say two 360s, they go side by side. You can put massive radiator down the front left here. You can put a 420 in there, a 360 in there. You can put a 360 in the front if you want, with some additional bracketry. There is also a little thumb screw that I need to remove, but you can put a 360 in the floor if you wanted, or you can just add in fans and blow them up towards your graphics card. I did find though that adding fans down here and blowing it up at a blower style card, and this is what I use for my standard testing, that it didn't really benefit this. It just confused the airflow a little bit. This is RGB in the bottom, and the two fans at the rear are RGB as well, so you get a full RGB suite with the actual fans. If you have a look in the back, then they are a lot of hard drive mounts that are completely removable. You can also use them to add pumps and reservoirs and stuff as well, but they are completely removable. You can also see that you've got multiple mounts there for fans along the back. The motherboard kind of stands out on a separate box section, and behind that is the power supply and extra hard drive mounts. But it's this ledge that gives us the height available for our extra massive radiators. And if I was to grab a tape measure just quick, there's 110 millimeters of room in total. Don't forget your fans are about 25 millimeters normally. So you've got an awful amount of room up there. You could put an 80 millimeter thick rad in the roof and still get your fans on. As far as thickness for the radiator and the floor is concerned, it's going to depend on what you end up doing with your graphics, because you could easily get a 30 millimeter thick radiator in down here and a set of fans and not take up too much room at the bottom of the motherboard. But it's really going to depend on how thick you want to go down there in reality. Round the back is exactly the same as the last one. As I said, all of these panels back here are removable, and you've got grommets on there for mechanical drives if you wanted to use them. But you can put all kinds of stuff on this. You can also remove the panel there, which has even more mounts for hard drives and stuff should you want to use them. This is a removable mechanical mount, but you can put 2.5s in there as well if you want. There is a hub in the roof for the RGB fans, which is beautiful because it means it gives you PWM fan slots and it gives you addressable RGB fan slots, so it can all wire in and be run off of a single one, which is lovely. There is also some more RGB headers further down here on the back should you want to use them for strips or other RGB stuff. Power supply down at the bottom, you can obviously have it either way, but the rear panel does have some meshing so that you can pull that way if you like. And there's also meshing on this side so that if you did want to put fans or radiators in this side, you have all the airflow. They did also, if you look, have a very clever, helps if you put it in properly, Tom. They've got the cutout here, and this is also removable. You can remove all of this if you wanted, add your own stuff in. It's very, very flexible. So yeah, there's plenty going on back here. This build feels like it's taken forever because there was some delays with certain parts, but we've now got to the point, or I've got to the point where I'm probably just going to move next gen stuff into this. Keep the cooling and the layout roughly the same, but maybe change the motherboard and maybe change the graphics card. But anyway, two 360mm 30mm thick EK radiators in the roof. You can see the 6 fans in there in total. You can see the 2 fans in the back. You can also see 3 further fans in the bottom and another radiator. You can also see on the back, rather than have a radiator up the back here, I have a distribution plate to kind of close up the space in reality and utilise it. It's actually meant for a fractal case. It's not designed for this. But I thought it would make a nice addition. Now, I obviously like white, and I was going to go with the Mystic Fog coolant in this. So that is just to give you an idea of the stuff that you can get inside this case. You can really pack it out. You can also see I've used 30mm thick radiators in the roof, and you can see there is a lot more clearance available up here. You could easily have got 60mm radiators in, as well as the distro plate and cabling and everything, and it wouldn't have been a problem. The only reason why I left it in the end was breathing, because obviously you do have this top panel set up here, and it did just mean that there would have been a slightly better amount of airflow available for those fans. But as you can see, it will swallow an awful lot of hardware. I mean, that doesn't look like there's a 3080 Ti Extreme in there, and in fact it was the Aorus, and I can grab the cooler there because the rest of the graphics card is attached to the water block over there. So there's an awful lot in there. Now, I'll pop the graphs up for the thermal testing, but they were within like a couple of tenths either way with the old case when I tested it originally. So it literally was just run tolerances at the end of the day. So they perform exactly the same. Now, that would have been in the stock layout. Obviously, you can add more fans, you can add radiators, AIOs, and you're probably going to make the performance better. When we do our testing, we sort that it's got the same data in it, but we sort it CPU, we sort it GPU, because you can see it can affect the placement with a lot of cases. CPU normally does quite well with cases, and then it's the graphics card that kind of trips them up either way. But these performed pretty much exactly the same. So the only real differences with them is the price and the application of the RGB. You've obviously got a lot more external RGB available on the Evo, and that extra little LCD or OLED panel, whatever you want to call it, on the front, so you've got some external monitoring or logos available for you. With the vanilla HAF, performance is the same. You get RGB fans inside instead, rather than lots of RGB on the outside, and a slightly more understated look on the front. Other than that though, unless you really did want big blocks of RGB on the front of your case, it is £100 saving. And that's an awful lot when you consider it's £100 saving, and you've still got RGB fans on the inside, you've still got the hubs, you've still got all the flexibility. I actually think that the vanilla HAF is probably the one to go for, unless you genuinely are just all out and building a complete, like, mammoth project, like bonkers mental system build, where you want to have all the bling and all the possibilities. I'd also say that in reality, if you're going to be pulling all of the fans out on the inside, you're not necessarily going to need this one, and you want that bling and stuff, and you're going to do something like I am here, then maybe the Evo is going to be the one to go for, just so that you do have that extra bit of pop on the outside. But that's going to be completely down to you. You get more with that one, but they want more for it. You get more RGB with this one, but less of the flash and bling on the outside, and you get to save £100. Still though, £350 isn't a cheap case, and £450 is definitely not a cheap case, especially with, you know, cost of living, everything going up through the roof. So maybe this is the right time to bring a cheaper HAF out, in case you've been kind of reaching for that one, but you can't just justify it. Let me know if you do think £350 is a good price for this one. We do need to remember, yes, it's expensive, but you can put so much stuff in it. So this isn't going to be the case that you're going to be purchasing for a cheap build, because you're going to buy this because you want to fill it full of the rafters with bonkers mental kit. So please let me know what you think. I know it's been a basic one. Don't forget, you can go and have a look at the other full review that I have done on the Evo. If you'd like to go into even more depth, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share to your friends. I don't care. Show your nan. If your dog or your cat wants to come and have a watch, then you can do as well. And for the regulars that made it to the outside, we are back to internet cookies for now, because I didn't think of anything beforehand. So internet cookies in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for getting to the end. I will be back with more stuff for you fairly soon that you all might be interested in. And yeah, I will be back. Ding! Love you, sis.